Good afternoon, I'm Rob Boskamp, and you're listening to South Texas Midday. Thank you for joining me on this Tuesday, January 27th. Corpus Christi City Council meets today at City Hall at 1201 Leopard Street. The public comment session is underway. Per the council's revamped public comment session policies, it will be at the front of each meeting beginning at noon. In today's meeting, the Corpus Christi Police Department will present their findings of the Homewood Suites investigation. The agenda also includes the second reading of an ordinance to authorize an agreement for provision and sale of recycled water from Greenwood Wastewater Treatment Plant to Valero Refining Texas LP. That 30-year agreement enables the city to supply up to 8 million gallons per day of Type 2 reclaimed water for Valero's industrial operations. Council also could motion to award a $16.8 million construction contract to Associated Construction Partners Limited of Bernie. That would be for the citywide lift station repair fiscal year 2019-2020 project for rehabilitation or replacement of 11 lift stations located citywide. That would be covered with fiscal year 26 funding available from the Wastewater Capital Fund. Council will also review a second reading for an ordinance to amend Tax Increment Reinvestment Zone Number 2's operating budget to authorize a transfer of $2.1 million from Capital Improvement Reserve to the Tax Increment Reinvestment Zone Number 2's operating fund for the Briscoe King Pavilion project in District 4. Council will also discuss appointing members to the Corpus Christi Aquifer Storage and Recovery Conservation District, as well as the newly created Reinvestment Zone Number 7 board in District 5's London neighborhood. Full meeting agenda and public comment session sign-up are available on the City of Corpus Christi's website. Election season is moving into another gear as the campaigning gets more intense. Democratic U.S. Senate candidate James Talarico visited Corpus Christi for a town hall event. Lon Gonzalez has the story.
A packed room greeted James Talarico Monday night with the Democratic U.S. Senate candidate in Corpus Christi to gather insight from local residents. Talarico was questioned over several topics during the town hall session, from teachers' pay, the environment, one area that has drawn some Republican criticism, Talarico's role in passing a bill that caps insulin costs. The end result, he says, will result in doing business with Canada.
To import cheaper prescription drugs from Canada, where they pay half what we pay here in the United States for the same medication, and now our state, because of my bill, is applying to the FDA to start importing those cheaper drugs right here into Texas.
Republicans say Talarico's ads are misleading. One other question focused on climate change, which has adversely affected the region with years of drought and a dwindling water supply.
Climate change is already here. Texans see it every single day. And we need a senator, we need a federal government that's not just going to fight to preserve our natural resources, to protect our water here in Corpus Christi and across the state, but also lead Texas into the fight against climate change, because we are the number one emitter of greenhouse gases out of all 50 states.
From here, Talarico takes his campaign south to the Rio Grande Valley, where he'll conduct door-to-door visits in Edinburgh and Harlingen. For KEDT News, I'm Lon Gonzalez.
Much of the country is dealing with dangerous winter weather, putting power grids under strain from coast to coast. In Texas, where a deadly blackout followed a winter storm in 2021, officials say the system is performing better this time, at least so far. The Texas Newsroom's Lucio Vasquez reports.
Texas's power grid has so far held up as Winter Storm Fern continues to bring freezing temperatures, snow, and ice across the region. The state's grid operator, known as ERCOT, says electricity supply has remained stable, even as demand rises during the cold snap. So far, most outages reported have been localized. As a precaution, the U.S. Department of Energy issued an emergency order last week allowing ERCOT to tap backup power sources, including generators at large facilities. The move comes nearly 5 years after the February 2021 winter storm, when widespread grid failures left more than 4 million Texans without power and contributed to hundreds of deaths. The storm is still ongoing, but temperatures are expected to warm up a bit on Tuesday. I'm Lucio Vasquez in Houston.
Governor Greg Abbott is weighing in on the controversy over immigration and customs enforcement actions in Minneapolis. Texas Public Radio reports Abbott is distancing himself from ICE, but is blaming the conflict on Minnesota's state leadership.
Speaking Monday morning on the Mark Davis Show on KSKI-AM, Abbott said there are conflicting facts about the shooting death of Alex Preddy, and that the anti-ICE protests in the streets of Minneapolis are the faults of Minnesota Governor Democrat Tim Walz and Mayor Jacob Frey.
They are literally inciting violence.
Abbott added that the Trump administration is going to take action to address the ICE controversy.
I know that they're working on a game plan. to make sure that they are going to, let's say, recalibrate and maybe work from a different direction to ensure that they get back to what they wanted to do to begin with. And that is to remove people from the country who are here illegally.
The shooting has ignited protest and a national debate over immigration enforcement tactics, with federal leaders defending the operation and local officials calling for investigations and accountability. I'm David Martin Davies in San Antonio.
5-year-old Liam Ramos is being held at an ICE detention center in Dilley, Texas. The child and his father were detained by ICE in Minnesota as they were returning from the child's preschool. Texas Public Radio's David Martin Davies reports the conditions at the South Texas facility are in question.
Immigration attorney Eric Lee said he was at the Dilley ICE detention center on Saturday and witnessed a mass protest by detainees over the treatment of Ramos. And he said the conditions at the facility are inhumane, with putrid water and bug-infested food.
Not a place that you would want to have your child be for even 15 minutes.
San Antonio Congressman Joaquin Castro said he will go to Dilley on Wednesday, along with fellow Democratic Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, to meet with Ramos and his father.
I want to check on his well-being and also demand his release.
Last week, Connecticut Senator Chris Murphy, a Democrat, was denied entry into the ICE Dilley Center. San Antonio Congressman Republican Tony Gonzalez posted on social media that the Dilley Center is state-of-the-art and said other politicians are grandstanding. I'm David Martin Davies in San Antonio.
Yesterday, the Goliad Commissioners Court unanimously agreed to phase in a new requisition procedure by the start of the next fiscal budget on October 1st. The Goliad Advance Guard reports that County Auditor Leah Lockwood told the court the proposed requisition system would verify available funds before purchases are made and bring the county into compliance with Texas Local Government Code. She said the county used a similar requisition procedure until 2014 and mentioned that Victoria, Refugio, DeWitt, and Karnes counties operate under the procedure she recommended. County Judge Mike Bennett countered by noting that one is already in place for higher dollar purchases. Ultimately, the court agreed to keep the current purchasing system in place while training staff on the requisition process, with full implementation tied to the start of the new budget year. In sports, starting with NBA minor league basketball, the Rio Grande Valley Vipers fell to 9-6 this season, with last night's 136-129 road loss to the Iowa Wolves. J.D. Davidson led the Vipers with 35 points, 11 rebounds, and 8 assists. Tristan Newton added 30 points, 6 assists, and 4 rebounds in his return to Casey Center. The Vipers will next play the Oklahoma City Blue in a road game Sunday. And in college basketball, the UTRGV men's team picked up their 4th straight win by defeating Texas A&M-Corpus Christi 64-55 at the Hilliard Center last night. The Vaqueros improved to 6-6 in Southland Conference play and got a career-high 19 points from freshman Julien Gomez while adding 7 rebounds. Sophomore Jalen Washington scored 13 points. Junior Corey Cotton added 11 points with 5 rebounds and 2 blocks. The Islanders got 12 points from Nicholas Chabagno, while Mason Gibson and Sheldon Williams each added 10 points. In the South Texas Showdown Rivalry Series standings, the Vaqueros got 3 points with the win, while Islanders earned the attendance points. UTRGV now leads the Showdown 16-12, with the next Showdown event on February 17th through the 18th at a women's golf tournament in Corpus Christi. Meanwhile, the Vaqueros basketball teams will be back in action Saturday when they visit the University of Incarnate Word Cardinals in San Antonio. TAM-UCC will host Houston Christian University at the Hilliard Center on Saturday. And studies show more than 90% of Americans fall short on fiber. It's a key nutrient for promoting gut health, or what's also known as gastrointestinal health, or GI. In the segment of KERA's Vital Signs series, Melissa Mendez, a registered dietitian at Parkland Health in Dallas, tells Sam Baker how fiber contributes to gut health.
We have trillions of microbiota or healthy bacteria in our intestines. Just like any live organism, our humans, they have to eat. I would consider them a probiotic. The live organisms need to have something called prebiotics, which is the food that they eat. So by us eating healthy items, they're going to get the food they need to work in our body to protect us and keep us healthy.
When we say the food that they need to eat, are we primarily talking about fiber?
We are. There are plenty of foods that have fiber that are going to help us with our intestines. There's soluble fiber and there's insoluble fiber.
What's the difference?
Soluble fiber, when you mix it with water, it's kind of gel-like. So some examples would be oats. Mix it with water and it gets kind of gel-like, right? Bananas, mix it with water and you get this gel-like sauce. the inside of an apple, you can get like an applesauce, right? So it mixes well with water. This really helps us feed the microbiota in our intestines. It's a prebiotic. There is something called insoluble fiber. And that's when we think of something where it's like very tough to chew through, like celery sticks, right? If you were to mix celery sticks with water, it stays the same. That actually helps bulk up our stool, and it helps us with bowel movements, clearing our intestines, and then allowing that bacteria to do its job.
So one is not better than the other. You need both.
Some items actually have both of them. So spinach has both soluble fiber and insoluble fiber. Our fruits, if you eat the one with the skin, you're going to be getting the insoluble and soluble. So that would be like our pears, apples.
Do we need to be careful, though, about what kind of fiber and or how we consume it?
The one thing I would say is try not to increase significance amount at one time. If I've never eaten fiber, I don't want it to be where it's zero fiber and now I'm getting so much fiber at the beginning, because it does start to cause negative GI symptoms of flatulence, bloating. My body's still not used to these changes. So adding little bits every day, every week.
What else besides fiber helps keep gut health in check?
We want to make sure that we're getting our probiotics. We naturally already have this healthy bacteria, but we can always introduce a little bit more. So this would be things that are fermented. The biggest one that we see everywhere is our yogurt. That would be a great example, a great way to add something healthy to our diet. And not only do we get our good bacteria, but we're also getting calcium, vitamin D, we get protein. We've also got kimchi, sauerkraut. Those are a couple of ideas where we can add additional great bacteria to help us even more with our immune system.
While there are many sources of fiber, though, the thing people always suggest is, well, couldn't I just do it with a supplement?
It's actually recommended not to take a supplement. Those are really reserved for the hospital setting. If there's something very high risk, there's complications going on, that's for a doctor's discretion to use. The other thing I want to mention here is that supplements are not FDA regulated, so you don't really know what you're getting. What the pill has does not have to be mentioned in the label, so they may not match when you're reading the label. So again, I would say sticking with the diet. I'd rather enjoy the foods versus taking a supplement or a pill.
Melissa Mendez is a registered dietitian with Parkland Health in Dallas. And that is the latest news and information on South Texas Midday. I'm Rob Boskamp.